Welcome and join us to Parashat Shmot. At the beginning of the parasha, I want to give you some, as they say, some numbers and some information that I thought was quite interesting in the parasha. Then we're going to go into our regular routine of, sounds like the Bee Gees. The regular growth of the, personal growth of the parasha. So the beginning of the parasha is counted from the time, really, of Yaakov Avinu coming to Egypt. I'm going to give you dates, which is, according to Jewish calendar, the year 2238 to creation of the world, Jewish calendar. That period is parallel to more or less the time of Parashat Vayechi, and only after 31 years after the death of Yosef, which was the year 2309, Yosef died, and this whole thing had happened. Bnei Yisrael, and what we started here is Bnei Yisrael sat down in Eretz Israel, in Egypt, for 102 years, and that was the year 2340 that a new king, so-called, arose over Egypt, Mitzrayim, and our parasha ends at the year 2443 when Moshe Rabbeinu reaches the Sneh, the burning bush in Midbar Sinai, and after 7 days complete 7 days he's going there. Moshe and Aaron, they're going to Paro, and overall we get a period of about 209 years that this parasha covers. So it's a long period of time in few words, just to have an idea. This parasha is the first parasha of Sefer Shmot, and we are being introduced to a new leader, and that is Moshe Rabbeinu. I'm going to get it a little bit out of sequence deliberately. Paro makes a decree on the children. He did not like the way the Jews start to multiply, and he said, okay, let's try to control that. The majority tells us different things, but nevertheless there was a decree on all the boys, the male boys, and that should be killed. Moshe's parents could not hiding anymore after a period of like 3 months. His mother is making what is so-called a teva for him. What is a teva? Huh? In this case, it will be a basket. Really, we'll see it. The teva could be a floating bassinet. It could be an ark. Depends how you use it. Some kind of a box or something like this that she put him in. And then she puts him in the Ye'or. Ye'or is the river Nile. And she sends him away. So in Sefer Bereshit, we did have as you said, we had a different teva. I'm going to use the Hebrew words teva deliberately. And that was tevat Noach, Noach's ark. The only case of Noach, we call it an ark because it was more like a size of a flotilla, or I don't know, some kind of like a destroyer, Navy destroyer. Well, in this case, it was a smaller thing. Maybe we'll see at the end that the bottom line is that really size does not matter. And what is interesting about the difference between the two Tevot, Tevat Noach and Tevat Moshe, is that by Noach there is gopher, there is zephet, there is a tar on the outside of the Teva, and there's tar on the inside of the Teva. Whereby Moshe Rabbeinu, we have tar on the outside, and inside there is what is so-called tit. Tit is some kind of river, we call it river clay that they take from the river. So the question needs to be asked, what is really the difference between the two? What's the difference between one and the other? And we're not going to answer it now. Let's skip a little bit on time. And we come to the scene. We're skipping a frame. We're coming to Moshe running to Midian. He's running away from Paro for the whole ordeal that happened when he killed the Egyptian men. He's escaping. I would not go with the Midrash that tells it was X amount of years. I'm skipping that, staying with the parasha. He goes to Midian. We have the famous scene by the trilogy of the well. Again, Moshe goes to the well. They have a problem there with the whole ordeal with the with boys and the shepherds and the female shepherds. And he comes in. Moshe rolls his sleeves and does what he does, and it's all history since then. He marries Tzipporah, the daughter of Yitro, of Jethro, and after that famous ordeal with the snare, with the burning bush, Moshe goes to goes back to Egypt, and something strange happens there, and we'll see what happens. The question is, wait, before we're going to jump, what happens with the snare? What happened exactly with the burning bush? Let's not go to Egypt. So what happened with the burning bush? Let's rewind a little bit and see what we can do, because I like to usually either stop on very unnoticeable thing on the parasha, or sometimes on things that are really weird and nobody can explain. So apparently there's something for us to do. So let's exactly see what happens with the snare. What happens with the burning bush? What can we learn from this? And it's a very interesting and yet important lesson that we learn from the burning bush. In the burning bush, in the parasha of Parashat HaSneh, HaKadosh Baruch Hu speaks to Moshe Rabbeinu. And Moshe Rabbeinu answers to him, and he says, in other words, of course, but the bottom line, he says, listen, Habibi, one second. I'm not ready. I can't go. I'm not ready. Not now, please. Moshe is looking at the burning bush, and he sees that the bush is burning, but the fire does not consume it. There is a hint in that. What is there to learn? Sometimes, and many times, in our lives, I mean, really, to see a bush that is burning and it's not being consumed is something of out of the ordinary in terms of reality. And many times, and sometimes in our lives, it seems to us that because of few different parameters or situations or statistics or numbers or whatever you want to call this, we cannot operate. We can't do what we need to do. Something like, well, this guy succeeded because he has more money than me. This guy succeeded because his father really helped him out. This guy did it because he's a real shrewd guy, because of this or because of that. If I would have that, I would be able to do it. Many times you find ourselves doing that. The limud, what we need to learn from this is, and listen very carefully, don't be afraid. Don't be afraid. And you need you need to do what you need to do, and the time to do it is now. Right now. Because this moment in which you are facing right now a decision to make, a thing to do, that thought that came to your head is not for nothing. There is something special about this moment. This is the most important moment of your life. And HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach us to Moshe by giving him a different analogy. And he says to him, Shal na'alecha me'al raglecha ki ha'makom asher ata omed bo admat kodesh. He said, remove, not exactly the word, but the same idea, remove your shoes from your feet, for the place in which you are standing on is holy. Hamakom? What do you mean, Hamakom? What is this place? This place that I'm standing on right now was the desert. And the desert there's no beginning or an end. What do you mean, Hamakom? What does it mean? Hamakom to us would refer to Harega Hazeh, this precious moment. This precious moment in which you are in it right now is holy, is mekudash, is sanctified, is different than all other moments of your life. Because if you're going to say, well, if I had this and that, I would succeed. All I need to do is just to reach this point and then I'll succeed. If I had this and that, I would succeed. Guess what? You would never succeed because you're never going to have it. There's no conditions for success. You want to do something, do it now. I need to collect enough money. I can't leave that. I need to have enough money for a year. I put money to the side for 1 year. If I put enough money for the year, it's going to be okay. No, it's not going to be okay. Why? Because, well, my wife doesn't work. So if my wife doesn't work, I can't do it. So fine, so you got the money for a year. Then you're going to find something else. Meanwhile, you're not living your dreams. You're dreaming your life. And it's a horrible thing to do. And here HaKadosh Baruch Hu is trying to teach Moshe, Tishma, I don't have time for this. You need to get up and go and do this now. And for us as well. All those messages in which are brought into the Chumash, I mean, there were many things that happened, but specifically those things were mentioned in the Torah. The reason is why? What is my personal message? What do I get out of it? And what I get out of it is that we don't act because we have excuses. We want somebody else to do it for us. We don't want to do that. Somebody else will do it for me. You go ahead. It's like somebody said to me last week, you know, I really wish if there were like 30, 50 families that would say, all right, let's go out of the city, let's go somewhere, let's start a community from scratch, and we do it the right way. I said, so do it. He says, no, we need the 30 people. I said, the 30 people, from my experience, would never happen. Or the 30 families would never happen. Because everybody's saying, you know what, you go first, settle down, and if it works, call me, I'll come. And everybody does it, and guess what? Nothing ever happens. And the time to act is now. You have an idea? Think your idea very carefully? Go ahead and run with it. Execute it. Don't wait. But there's something else. In that discussion of HaKadosh Baruch Hu and Moshe Rabbeinu, there's another message. Moshe is telling HaKadosh Baruch Hu, who am I to go to Paro? Me? Come on. I can't go to Paro. We need to know that each and every one of us has his own internal Moshe and Paro. Those people, Moshe and Paro, are real people in the parasha, but really sometimes represents more than just individuals. They represent certain tendencies inside of us. We all have our own Moshe and Paro. That burning bush is being revealed to us all the time. All the time. The place to deal with our Paro is always, everywhere. So instead of coming in and looking at Paro in the eye and dealing with him with our internal Paro, we come all the time with our doubts. We have sfekot. We have our doubts. Who am I to go to Paro? I mean, after all, I did try. By the way, you want to tell them to come, they can come and sit here. I tried. Paro is very strong. It's not really something that I could handle by myself. Therefore, then what happens is we develop all kind of theories which constrict us. Guys, move over there to the other side. We develop all kind of theories that constrict us, that close us in, and prevent from us any kind of action. Those theories that we said prevent us from succeeding. They close us within. The thing is that we have to remember that each and every one of us is capable and able and deal with his internal paro inside of you. The question is asked, okay, terrific. But how do we do that? The answer is one word. Be'asiyah, by doing. In other words, stop talking, start doing. Each and every one of us has his own reality, personal reality that comes, things comes your way. Your opportunities are different than mine opportunities, different than his opportunities, and so on and so forth. It is very important for us not to waste time in questions, and in questions that are unnecessary. For example, how? Why? Who's going to do it? Why now? The questions that we ask all the time. In other words, you cannot concentrate on the negative. You need to concentrate on the positive. And the positive is doing, asiyah. You're building, you're designing, you're coming about. That is the lesson that you learn from Moshe Rabbeinu in the Sneh. HaKadosh Baruch Hu said to him, listen, it's okay, I know. But I don't do this, I don't speak. It's okay, somebody else will speak for you. But listen, Habibi, go already. Go, there's no time. Go. I'm not capable. Don't worry, you are. I'm behind you, don't worry. The Jews are not going to listen to me. They will. They won't, I know them. Hold on, put your hand here, go like this. You have all the tools to succeed. The failures usually are self-generated from within, from inside. And now we come into the ordeal of Tzipporah. Remember what I told you now. Remember what I told you. And I'm sure that each and every one of you, if you just be honest with yourself, you'll see that you have those obstacles inside of you that you put inside. Those doubts that you put inside. Each and every one of you would be able to find how he is constricting himself with excuses that if I had this, I would have. If I had a mouth to speak, I would go to Paro. But I stutter, I can't do that. Don't worry about it, I'll fix it up. That burning bush is a reminder to us all the time of reality, that what you see is not really what you see, and what you think your obstacles are not. Be positive, Rabotai, if you want to live long life. If you want to succeed more than everybody else, is talk little, don't talk a lot, and stay positive. To be negative is the spiritual cancer of our generation. It is a spirit, and by the way, it will make your life shorter. And that's something that you don't want to do. So we're coming now, we finished with a sneh. Don't forget, I did not forget about the teiva, about the ark. We'll get to it. So now we're talking about Tzipporah. I didn't forget about the ark. It's at the end. So we're talking about Tzipporah. And Tzipporah is mentioned in two different occasions in the Torah, on the parasha. She's been chosen to become the wife of Moshe Rabbeinu, and in our parasha, she does something which is, she saves his life. And this is how it says in the parasha, "V'tekach Tzipora tzor v'tichot et orlat bina." And Tzipora took flint. By the way, if you don't know, you can make really sharp, cutting edge with flint. You know, if you pick and you make it like this, it becomes deadly, very sharp. So she took that and she does the Brit Milah, and she saves him like that. And Tzipora does the Brit Milah for her son with that flint, and by doing so, she saves Moshe Rabbeinu from sakanat chayim, from a danger, because the pasuk says, "Ve'i baderech b'malon, ve'yivgasheu Hashem, ve'yivakesh hamito." And HaKadosh Baruch Hu, whatever it is, came, and he wanted to kill him. According to the Midrash, it was this, what we call Nachash Bariach, how should I call it? A mythological snake of great anaconda, and it would swallow him from his legs, and it will come down. It would swallow. There are a lot of Kabbalistic meanings to that, but he was about to die. So Tzipora does whatever she does, and she solves it. My dear friend, Rav Shmuel Eliyahu, which is the chief rabbi of Tzfat, said one time, presents this question, and he says, why did Moshe Rabbeinu could not take the tzor, the flint, himself, and do Brit Milah to his son by himself? I mean, afterwards, that's a mitzvah that fathers are commanded, not mothers are commanded. Yes, a woman can do the Brit Milah, but it's really your mitzvah as a father to do so lechatchila. And where did we find it becomes the mother's duty to do the Brit Milah? And the answer is like this. A person needs to know that the wife is supposed to be a complete, I won't say fix, but she's the one who completes the man. Without a wife, a man, also Kabbalistically speaking, is not considered to be an entity. We need to have those two parts combining together to do so. So many times, what the man is lacking, the wife comes and helps him become what he needs to become. As they always say, behind every successful man is a very successful woman. And don't forget that. Moshe Rabbeinu was lacking in two main areas, two main categories. He was lacking in his peh, in his mouth. In other words, he couldn't speak. The pasuk refers to him as kvad peh, v'kvad lashon anochi. Moshe said, I am kvad peh, I don't speak fast, v'kvad lashon, and my tongue gets tangled. In other words, I have a severe problem with stuttering. I don't speak well. And this is something that many people in Galut represent. The Kabbalah tells us people that in Galut have this concept of kvad peh v'kvad lashon. It's not fluent by them. Moshe was lacking in somewhere else as well. Moshe was lacking in tzor. Tzor, which is that flint, the rock. Here too, in the Brit Milah, and whatever he did in the Mei Meriva, when he hit the stone instead of talking to the stone. Over there was referred to as tzur, but it was this big flint stone, not flint stone, but rock, flint rock, that he didn't act upon it appropriately. Again, he was supposed to talk to it, he hit it. Tzipora came to complete him. If you look at this, and by the way, because of that, because of the tzor, he did not enter Eretz Israel. The name of Tzipora, it has the letters of tzur and peh. She was his completion. She completed him. She helped him. Without her, he would not be able to be what he was, Moshe Rabbeinu. So even though it says, and we should know that, even though we say that Tzipora was on the way with his children and Moshe Rabbeinu to go to Mitzrayim, according to many sources, she never made it. She never made it to Mitzrayim. Along the way, they were going to Mitzrayim, and Aaron came from Mitzrayim to meet them in the desert. And he went to him, and he hugged him, and he kissed him, and he says to him, Moshe, where you been all these years, man? According to some people, it's like 80 years. Where you been? And he said to him, B'Midian, in Midian. So Aaron asks Moshe, he says, Mataf v'nashim elu imcha? Who are these? Who is this woman? Who are those children? Amar lo, Ishti u'banai, my wife and my sons. Amar lo, Aharon said to Moshe, Ve'le'an ata molichan? Where are you going with them? So Moshe answered, he says, Lemitzrayim, to Egypt. Amar lo, Aharon said to him, Al harishonim anu mitzta'arim, ve'achshav nitzta'er gam be'elu. Isn't that enough that the first children of Yaakov came to Mitzrayim, and we regret the fact that Bichlal we came here, you're going to bring them in yours as well? At that point, he told Tzipora, Moshe told Tzipora, go back to your father's house. And at that point, she went back, and she took her two children with her, because it's no place to be with children. Egypt was not a place to raise children, having to know what's going to happen there with Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu could not have concentrated with that, knowing that his children were there. Therefore, he sent them out. And Tzipora, he did not meet Tzipora until they were way into the desert, till the whole ordeal, when Yitro came, and so on and so forth. If you look at Yitro, Parashat Yitro, it says, these are your children, and so on and so forth. What do you mean these are your children? They weren't with him all this time. So remember that. This parasha, again, this parasha is loaded with stuff. It's just, really, where do you begin? So I'll tell you where do we begin, because we're about to end. So we're going to end exactly where we begin. And we left with the question, what was the difference between Noach and between Moshe? What was the difference between the Teiva of Moshe Rabbeinu, where they put Moshe Rabbeinu in the box, in that floating bassinet, to Noach's ark that was so huge and big? We know that Noach haya ish tzaddik, tamim, he was a righteous man, he was an honest man, he didn't hurt anybody. It was all good. And why did it happen to him? How he did not get affected? Because, again, we're talking about symbolism. He was protected inside and out with a isolating agent, which was the tar. Zefet mibachutz, tar from the outside, tar from the inside. So therefore, no garbage was able to penetrate him, whatever he represented, inside. But there's a trick to that. In return, he was not able to influence anybody else too. He didn't have the ability to influence anybody. He was not able to drag people behind him to actually do good deeds, to do something good. He built the teva, he took his family with him, took the animals with him. Whatever happens, happens. As long as I'm tzaddik, I'm okay. I don't really care. But Moshe Rabbeinu, the situation is a little different. Moshe Rabbeinu, his teva, and again, Hebrew is the same word, teva and teva, is protected from the outside. The murky water is not able to penetrate inside the teva, in that matter, inside of Moshe Rabbeinu as well. But rather there's something phenomenal. Yet Moshe Rabbeinu has the ability not only not to be influenced by the stuff that is happening outside, but the dirt, but the pollution of the river, of the water, of everything around him. He has the ability to send out Mayim Chaim, fresh water, that slowly, slowly this water was able to clean everything around him. Moshe Rabbeinu was not closed within. He lived with the people. He was able to influence the people. And that's something that you all have to remember. Moshe Rabbeinu is giving us here a lesson of how to become a leader. If you are a leader, you cannot be disconnected from your people. You cannot sit there on your throne and play holy. You have to get down to the people, and you have to clean the area. You have to lead them. You have to guide them. You have to watch out. And remember, you're not our buddies. We're not buddies. I'm the leader. I'll give you an example. When you are in the army, officers and non-commissioned officers or privates or whatever they are, regular soldiers, don't eat together. This one have their own dining room. These have their own dining room. They don't eat together. But when it comes to war, the leaders go ahead of everybody. They serve an example. We need to create a certain distance, but yet we lead by example. If you're a leader, that's what you need to do. You need to create. You need to be open in yourself for the other people. Noach was a tzaddik, but Noach was not a leader. Avraham Avinu was a leader. Moshe is a leader. And he's showing us to do so. And just like Moshe and Noach, also in our pnimiyut, inside of us, internally, I have a place, as we said before, if inside of me there is a Moshe and there is a Paro, inside of me there is this Paro that always likes to be lehafriya in Hebrew, is to disturb, to bother. Lehafriya and Paro, very similar letter there. Very similar letters. So as much as I have the Paro inside of me, internally, I have the Paro in which I have to put him in place. The Paro that wants to disturb. The Paro that does not want me to be engaged in asiyah, in doing. The Paro inside of me that does not want me to be positive. And I have to face it without any hesitation, without any inferior syndromes. Just look at it in the eye, and I go with it. So inside of me, there is the Noach and there is the Moshe. There is inside of me the Noach that would say, Ani, me, tzaddik yesod olam. I am a righteous person. I'm the foundation of the world. I'm so righteous. I don't get bothered by everybody. Nothing can have an effect on me. I am immune. That is the Noach. But yet in return, you have no effect on anybody around you. You don't want to have anything to do with the world outside. You don't want to have anything to do with those who are less fortunate than you, that are not so righteous. You for yourself, you're okay, tzaddik, you're an honest man, delicious. But what's your contribution to society? Zero. What's the difference between you and Noach? Nothing. A person like this, lo mushpa miklum, is not influenced by anything and yet does not influence anyone. But then l'umat zeh, on the other side, there is the Moshe inside of us. The Moshe inside of us is the shaliach, is the messenger that understands that there is a different way. He understands that the external image of being a tzaddik, oh, I'm so righteous, I am so wonderful, I am super religious, I am so, it is really not that important. The external is not that important. My image is not that important. What important is that we need to understand that what important is the hashpa'ah, your influence on the people around you. How much are you able to reach out to the people and influence them to become better people? We need to understand the word Noach, the name Noach in Hebrew also means what? Comfortable. Comfortable. Also, if you take the Tiv Chaser, you just put Noach, regular Noach, Nun and Chet, it's also Nach, is resting. So a person like a Noach inside of you, he would always rest and he would act whenever he's comfortable. He only cares about his own comfort. But a person needs to understand that you need to be tzaddik also when it's not comfortable for you, when it's not convenient to you. And you need to understand that in order to be a real tzaddik, you need to have what is so-called chen, also. The same letters. Chen means grace. You need to be graceful. And this is what we say, Torat Chen is Torat Anistar, Chokhmat Anistar. The real secrets are not revealed. It's all there in the Torah. But you need to be able to understand how to interpret them. The real secret is to be able to understand that the chitzoni, the external, is not important, is irrelevant. You need to understand that what important is to stay positive, is not to have doubts. You need to understand that sometimes you need to get up and do things when it's not convenient to you, because it's not about you. We are here for a reason, and our reasoning is to make this place into a better place. And the time to do it is now. As Hillel said, Imen anili mili, v'im lo achshav ematai. If not now, when? The right time to act is now. Rabotai, let's not have doubts. Let's be involved in doing. Let's reach out to those who are not as fortunate as we are. And Be'ezrat Hashem will make this world into a better place. Amen.